My wife smirked across the table and said, "If you don't like my friend's jokes, Lucas, you can just pay and leave." I nodded slowly and replied, "Thanks for the option." Then I calmly took out my wallet, placed exactly $62 for my Caesar salad, my overpriced cocktail, and a generous tip on the table, grabbed my keys, and walked out of Romano's Steakhouse. For a moment, Marina and her friends thought I was joking, until their laughter faded into stunned silence. Do you ever pinpoint the exact moment your life changes forever? Mine happened over a Caesar salad, at a restaurant I didn't even like, surrounded by people who had long since stopped pretending to respect me. My name's Lucas Harlow. I'm 29, and I work as an electrician, something Marina's friends considered a punchline rather than a respectable trade. My wife had just gotten a promotion at her marketing firm, so I booked us dinner at Romano's. Expensive and upscale, just the way she liked it. We brought along her 3 best friends, Celeste, Tara, and Harley, the sorority-style clique she'd kept since college. It took exactly 10 minutes for the mockery to begin. Celeste twirled her fork and said, "Still working with wires, Lucas. Must be nice having such a basic job." Tara laughed, adding, "And how many broken motorcycles do you need in that garage anyway?" They weren't broken. They were restoration projects. I took pride in bringing classic bikes back to life. But in their eyes, anything old was worthless, myself included. I glanced at Marina, silently begging for support. She sat, sipping her wine, entertained by my humiliation. Then Harley twisted the knife. "Marina, you could seriously do better. Remember Jasper from your seminar? Now that guy had potential." Marina didn't defend me. Instead, she shrugged and casually said, "If you don't like my friend's jokes, Lucas, you can just pay and leave." In that instant, clarity washed over me. 5 years of marriage, and I wasn't her husband. Anymore, I was her punchline, a joke she tolerated only because I paid the bills. So, I stood up, placed my share of the bill on the table, and walked out without another word. Marina's frantic voice echoed behind me, but for once, I didn't care. Outside, in my trusty old F-150, the reality hit hard. When did my marriage become this, a show put on for her friends, where my dignity was just collateral damage? My phone buzzed repeatedly, Marina's messages shifting from anger to panic. "Come back and pay then. This isn't funny anymore. And finally, you're really going to leave us like this?" She never once asked if I was okay. Instead of responding, I drove straight to my best friend Marcus's place. Marcus had a sixth sense about people, and when he opened the door, he said simply, "Took you long enough." He made coffee, and listened without judgment as I unloaded years of frustration. Marcus reminded me of every moment Marina's friends had publicly belittled me: my sister's wedding, my dad's birthday, the countless dinners where I was their running joke. "They only do it because Marina lets them," he pointed out. "She encourages it." My phone kept blowing up. Marina's friends even sent me passive-aggressive texts. Harley demanded $150 for emotional distress. I blocked every single one of them. Suddenly, silence filled my life, and it felt incredible. The next morning, Marina called from her work phone. "Lucas, stop being childish. Do you know how embarrassing last night was?" she demanded. I couldn't hold back anymore. "You sat there while your friends humiliated me, then told me to leave. I'm not apologizing for respecting myself." When she started yelling again, I calmly hung up. Hours later, I got a text from Omar, Harley's boyfriend. "They're scheming something. Stay sharp." Feeling uneasy, I returned home to gather my belongings and discovered Marina had sold my tools online. $9,000 worth of professional gear gone overnight. My prized restoration project, a 1978 Kawasaki KZ100i I spent 3 years rebuilding, was already listed for a fraction of its value, described as junk left by my ex-husband. Fury drove me to call the police. I gathered receipts, documented every theft, and began building my case. Our landlord called soon after Marina had trashed the apartment, after I left noise complaints, property damage, and unpaid bills, and then told him I'd abandoned the lease. Thankfully he knew better, offering to help if I took over solo. A final confrontation came days later, as I loaded my remaining possessions into Marcus's truck. Marina appeared, pleading for forgiveness, claiming it had all been just a joke. Celeste stood smugly beside her, mocking me one final time. I turned to Marina and said firmly, "This wasn't a marriage. This was a business arrangement. I'm terminating the contract," she cried, begging me not to throw away 5 years. But I was finally done being the punchline. In the aftermath, everything unraveled for Marina and her crew. Omar discovered Harley's true motives and left her. Celeste lost her corporate job after her cruelty surfaced. Tara's boyfriend dumped her when her true nature came out. The toxic circle imploded, turning on each other without a common target to mock. Meanwhile, I rebuilt my life from the ground up. I found an apartment closer to my work, affordable, peaceful, mine. I bought my motorcycle back and restored it better than before. Omar and I became real friends, supporting each other without judgment or manipulation. Months later, Marina texted one final plea. "I should have defended you. I'm sorry. Can we try again?" I stared at her words, remembering every humiliating moment, every theft, every betrayal. Then I simply deleted the message. I had already moved on, thriving without the weight of her toxic drama. I'd reclaimed my dignity, surrounded by people who valued me as a friend, not as entertainment. The truth was, Marina and her friends thought they'd broken me. Instead, they freed me, letting me build a life far better than any joke they could ever tell. Turns out, the joke had been on them all along.